friends, it's time for our Bible lesson today. And remember how we had Israel? I have it drawn up here ready. Sea of Galilee, Jordan River, Dead Sea. Remember it was divided into two, right? Last time we talked about King Ahab and Queen Jezebel up in the northern tribes. Remember those 10 northern tribes and then the 2 tribes of Judah down here. Now, they had different kings. So Israel and Judah are now 2 different countries. But both are God's people. But Israel, Ahab was a bad king, right? And then they go through a lot more kings, all of them bad. Not one good king, not one king that honors God. Isn't that sad? So here we have, finally God says, enough. Enough, enough, enough. And he allows a kingdom called Assyria. And the Assyrians are the people. He allows the kingdom of Assyria to come in and they capture all of Israel, the northern tribes. And they take most of the people out and make them go be slaves somewhere else. And we don't really hear much about them again. All right. And so Israel is now no more as a country. Just Judah is the only one left. Now, Judah has some bad kings too, but it also has some good kings too. So there's a good king, Josiah, and I know we have a Josiah. There's a good king, Josiah. He becomes king when he's only 8 years old. Can you believe it? And he ends up being one of the good kings of Judah. He ends up following God and doing a lot of good things. But then there's some really bad kings, like King Manasseh, horrible king. He does awful things, including killing some of his own people and worshiping idols and lots of bad things. But then his son Hezekiah ends up being a good king. So he does good things and he helps rebuild the temple and doing some good things again. So there's some good kings and bad kings in Judah. But remember, this is where David's family was, right? Jerusalem is here. Remember, God had promised David, somebody from your family will always be on the throne. So God is not going to get rid of Judah like he did with Israel, okay? But they're doing some pretty bad things, some of those kings. So God says there is going to be a punishment. And he sends a prophet named Jeremiah. And Jeremiah, there's a book in the Bible of Jeremiah. Jeremiah is a prophet, and he comes to the king of Judah, and he says, you are going, God's going to punish you. There's going to be some punishment for this time and for us having all these bad kings and worshiping idols and doing this bad stuff. But it's not going to be forever. It's only going to be for 70 years. After 70 years, God will allow the Israelites to come back, or the Jews to come back to Judah. He said, I will allow my people to come back. So, just what God says does happen. So Assyria gets taken over by a different group of people, and they're called Babylon, the Babylonians. It looks like baby is when you spell it out. It looks like Babylon. But you say Babylon. So the Babylon comes, the Babylonians, and they take over all of Assyria's land, so it's going to be there too, but they take over Judah. And there's a king there. His name is really kind of a funny one, King Nebuchadnezzar. That's a crazy one, right? So King Nebuchadnezzar, that's a long name. King Nebuchadnezzar comes in, and he has his soldiers, they take over Judah, but remember, it's only going to be for 70 years, then people can return. But they said, I want you to take all of the people who are good learners, who are kind of in the nobility, they're handsome, they're strong, all the men in that area, and I want you to take them into my court, King Nebuchadnezzar says. He says, I want all of the like the teenagers that are good learners, that are handsome, that are strong, that used to be rich before I took them over, and are good at learning. I want you to take them and bring them into my court, and I want them to learn. Now, not only do they have to learn a new language, because the Babylonians spoke a different language than the Jews, they have to learn how to speak a different language, they have to learn how to read a different language, they have to learn a different customs and how they do things in a different land. But they get to go and be in King Nebuchadnezzar's court. Now, 4 of those friends we know about. Right? And one of them we know really well. His name is Daniel. Okay, Daniel. Remember, there's even a book of the Bible called Daniel, and you might know somebody named Daniel. So Daniel is one of those men who was a captive from Judah, who lived in Judah, who's now getting brought to Babylon to King Nebuchadnezzar. So he has to leave his home, he has to leave his family. It's kind of sad, but he does have 3 friends with him, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. So Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Sometimes when I was little, I would thought it was to bed we go. Shadrach, Meshach, and to bed we go, but it's Abednego. So Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego are Daniel's friends. So the 4 of them are together, and they're in King Nebuchadnezzar's palace. Now, they said were told, we will give you even food from the king's table, which was kind of an honor to be able to eat food that was from the king's table. But there was a problem. In Babylon, they didn't worship God, they worshiped idols. And a lot of the food from the king's table had been sacrificed to idols. And Daniel and his friends said, we can't eat that. We can't have that food that's been sacrificed to idols. So they said to the leader of their area, they said, we don't want to be rude, and we're thankful for the King Nebuchadnezzar giving us this food, but could we please just have water and vegetables to eat? Nothing that's been sacrificed to idols. And the leader said, I'd like to help you out, Daniel. I like you. You're a nice kid, and your friends are nice. I'd like to help you, but King Nebuchadnezzar, when he gets angry, he gets really angry. And I don't want King Nebuchadnezzar angry at me because you 4 aren't looking good because you're not eating the right food. So Daniel and his friends, they say, well, how about this? How about we try it for 10 days? And after 10 days, you give us just the vegetables and water. And after 10 days, if we are not healthy and strong and looking as good as everyone else, we'll go back and we'll eat the food from the king's table. So they make a deal. They say, okay, 10 days, we'll try it. So after 10 days, now God blesses Daniel and Shadrach and Meshach and Abednego, and he blesses them, and he says, I'm glad you're trying to follow these rules. I'm going to make you strong and healthy. So after 10 days, they come and check, and Daniel and Shadrach and Meshach and Abednego were actually healthier and looking better than everybody else that ate from the king's table. So the leader says, okay, you can keep doing it if you want because it worked. You were right. Your God is blessing you. And in fact, God gave Daniel and Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, God gave them favor. We call it favor. God blessed them. The people that came in contact with them, they really liked Daniel and Shadrach and Meshach and Abednego. God blessed them, gave them favor in Babylon. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that later on.